My friend told my girlfriend I cheated. I didn't, because he wanted her. She believed him and left me for him. 6 months later, she found him cheating and wanted me back. Funny how that works. All right, Reddit. This whole situation is so ridiculous that my actual friends told me I needed to document this for posterity. This happened over the course of about 8 months, ending just last week, and honestly, I'm still processing how stupid people can be. But hey, at least I got a good story out of it. Quick background on me. I'm 29, work as an IT systems analyst for a mid-sized logistics company here in Colorado. Not the most exciting job, but it pays well, and I get to work from home 3 days a week, which is clutch. I've got my own place, a decent 2018 Honda Accord that I bought certified pre-owned with like 25,000 miles on it, and a solid group of friends I've known since college. Life was pretty stable and comfortable. The Accord was actually a total steal I found on CarGurus after spending like 2 months researching reliability ratings and checking maintenance costs. Previous owner was some accountant who literally only drove it to the office and back. I spent my first weekend detailing it and installing a better head unit because the stock one was garbage. Added a dash cam too, because you never know when you'll need footage of someone being an idiot on I-25. I'm not the type to jump from relationship to relationship. Had a couple serious girlfriends in my 20s that didn't work out for various reasons. Nothing dramatic. After the last one ended in 2020, I focused on my career and hobbies for a while. Got really into hiking, hitting trails like Mount Evans and Rocky Mountain National Park almost every weekend. Built a pretty sick gaming PC with an RTX 3080 that I'd camped on Newegg to snag at MSRP during the shortage. Spent weeks researching the perfect build, cable management, RGB setup, the whole 9 yards. The satisfaction of booting it up for the first time and seeing everything run perfectly was unmatched. Also learned how to smoke brisket properly after watching like 300 YouTube videos and burning through way too many practice runs. My neighbor loved me though, because I kept giving him the mistakes. Just living my life without the pressure of trying to find the one. Worked on getting promoted, maxed out my 401k contributions, even started a side hustle doing IT consulting for small businesses on weekends. Had my own routine, my own space, my own peace. No drama, no games, just steady progress on my own terms. Then in January of last year, I met Taylor at a friend's Super Bowl party. Taylor was 27, worked as a dental hygienist, had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. She was into fitness, loved true crime podcasts, and could actually hold a conversation about something other than Instagram drama. For once, I felt like I'd found someone who had their life together and wasn't playing games. She was genuinely impressed that I owned furniture that wasn't from Target, cooked actual meals instead of surviving on DoorDash, and had a savings account with more than $300 in it. The bar was apparently in hell, but I cleared it. Our first date was at this Korean BBQ place she'd been wanting to try. Spent 3 hours just talking about everything. Careers, travel goals, embarrassing college stories. She told me about how she'd saved up to pay off her dental hygiene school loans early, how she was planning to eventually open her own practice. I told her about my plans to get my PMP certification, and maybe transition into project management. Real adult shit that actually mattered. Taylor's place was this cute one-bedroom apartment near downtown that she kept immaculate. Girl had a label maker and actually used it. Her spice rack was alphabetized. She had a whole system for meal prep on Sundays. After dating girls who couldn't be bothered to do their dishes for a week, this was refreshing as hell. By March, we were officially together and things were going great. She'd come over after work and we'd cook dinner together, watch documentaries, just exist in the same space without it being weird. On weekends, we'd hit the hiking trails or check out new breweries around town. Normal, healthy relationship stuff. Her friend group was solid too. Mostly other dental hygienists and nurses she'd met through work. All women who had their lives together. They'd have girls' nights every other Friday where they'd go to paint and sip classes or try new restaurants. I respected that she had her own social life and didn't need to be attached to me 24/7. Now let me introduce you to the snake in this story. We'll call him Trevor. Trevor and I had been friends since sophomore year of college. We were in the same dorm, both majoring in tech-related fields, bonded over video games and complaining about our programming classes. After graduation, we stayed in touch even though we worked for different companies. We'd grab lunch every couple weeks, play Xbox Live together, hit up concerts when bands we liked came through town. Dude was one of those guys who was perpetually single, but always had some elaborate excuse for why. The girls were too clingy or didn't understand him or weren't on his level intellectually. Looking back, I should have seen the pattern. He wasn't single because of bad luck. He was single because he was a manipulative piece of shit. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Trevor worked as a software developer for some startup that claimed they were revolutionizing cloud infrastructure, but mostly just had a lot of venture capital and free snacks in the break room. Made decent money, drove a 2019 Mustang GT in that metallic orange that screams, "Look at me," that he'd bought straight out of college and still owed way too much on. The monthly payment was probably more than most people's rent, but he needed that flex. He lived in a pretty nice apartment complex on the north side, one of those places with a fancy gym nobody uses and a pool that's open 3 months a year. His actual apartment was all surface level impressive. Massive TV, expensive gaming chair, latest Xbox and PlayStation, designer sneakers displayed on floating shelves like they were art. But dig deeper, and you'd see he was living paycheck to paycheck. Guy bought bottle service at clubs, but had his credit cards declined at grocery stores. Classic prioritizing, looking successful over actually being financially stable. His apartment was always spotless though, which I respected at first. Later realized it was because he used it as a showroom to impress women. Everything was staged. The cologne collection he never touched, the books he never read, the vinyl records displayed next to a turntable that had dust on the needle. All props. When I started dating Taylor, Trevor was really interested in meeting her. Like, weirdly interested. Kept asking questions about her, where she worked, what she liked to do, what her deal was. I figured he was just being a good friend, taking an interest in my life. Wrong. I introduced them at a group hangout at my place in April. I'd invited maybe 8 people over for a game night. Board games, video games, just hanging out. Taylor came with a homemade spinach artichoke dip that was phenomenal, and Trevor showed up with a 12-pack of craft IPAs, acting like he'd brought liquid gold. The night started fine. Everyone was getting along, playing code names, talking shit, but I noticed Trevor was paying a lot of attention to Taylor. Sitting next to her during games, laughing extra hard at her jokes, asking her questions about herself. At the time, I thought he was just being friendly, trying to make a good impression since she was important to me. Taylor mentioned it afterward when we were cleaning up. "Trevor seems nice," she said, loading plates into my dishwasher. "Little intense, though. He asked me like 20 questions about my job." "Yeah, he's kind of socially awkward sometimes," I said, completely missing the red flag waving in my face. "He means well." She shrugged it off and we didn't talk about it again. But Trevor started finding excuses to hang out more often. Suddenly he wanted to grab lunch twice a week instead of every other week. He'd text me asking if Taylor and I wanted to join him for random stuff. Concerts, new restaurant openings, hiking trails. I thought my buddy was just trying to be inclusive, maybe feeling lonely. My girlfriend at the time thought it was sweet that my friend was making an effort to include her. We were both idiots. By June, Trevor had basically inserted himself into our lives. He knew our schedules, where we liked to eat, what we did on weekends. It didn't seem weird because it happened gradually. That's how snakes operate. They don't strike immediately. They wait for the perfect moment. July is when everything went to hell. It was a Friday afternoon. I was wrapping up work from home, planning to pick up Thai food for dinner since Taylor was coming over after her shift. My phone buzzes with a text from Trevor. "Hey man, need to talk to you about something. Can I call?" I figured he needed advice about work or wanted to vent about something, so I called him back. The conversation is burned into my brain. "Look, this is really hard for me to say," Trevor started, doing this whole fake concerned friend routine. "But I saw something last weekend and I've been losing sleep over whether to tell you." My stomach immediately dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I saw Taylor. She was at Eureka with some guy. They were sitting really close, holding hands across the table. I almost didn't recognize her at first, but it was definitely her." "Eureka! Was this burger place downtown we'd been to a couple times?" My brain immediately went into defense mode. "Are you sure it was her? Maybe it was someone who looked like her." "Dude, I'm sure." I walked past their table. It was her. She didn't see me, but I saw them. They kissed before they left. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "When was this?" "Last Saturday, around 7 p.m. I was meeting someone for dinner and saw them there. I wanted to say something right then, but I didn't want to cause a scene. I've been debating all week whether to tell you, but you're my boy. You deserve to know. Last Saturday, I'd been at my parents' house helping my dad install new gutters on their house all afternoon. Got home around 8 p.m. completely exhausted and covered in dirt. Taylor said she'd had a girls' night with her coworkers. She texted me around 9 p.m. saying she was headed home. "Are you absolutely sure it was her?" I asked again, needing him to be wrong. "Positive, man. I'm sorry. I know this sucks, but you needed to know." We talked for another 10 minutes, him giving me details about what she was wearing, which matched what she'd posted on Instagram that day. What the guy looked like. Tall, dark hair, athletic build. How they'd been laughing and clearly into each other. Every detail made it more convincing. After I hung up, I just sat there staring at my monitor, not processing anything. My girlfriend was cheating on me? We'd been together 6 months, things were good, or so I thought. What the fuck? When Taylor showed up that evening with her overnight bag, I was cold. She picked up on it immediately. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting her bag down by the door. "Trevor called me today. Said he saw you at Eureka last Saturday with some guy. Said you two looked pretty cozy." Her face went from concerned to confused to genuinely angry in about 3 seconds. "What? I wasn't at Eureka last Saturday. I was with the girls at that restaurant on Colfax. He said he saw you. Said you were holding hands with some guy and kissed before you left. That's insane. I wasn't there. Why would Trevor say that? He's my friend. He's got no reason to lie to me." That right there was my first mistake. Trusting Trevor over Taylor without any actual evidence. But his story had been so detailed, so convincing, and he'd seemed genuinely upset about having to tell me. "Can I see your phone?" I asked. Her face changed. Not guilty, but hurt. "You want to go through my phone because your friend, who I've met like 4 times, said he saw me somewhere I wasn't. If you've got nothing to hide, what's the problem? The problem is you don't trust me. The problem is you believe him over me without even questioning it." We argued for another 20 minutes. She offered to show me her Instagram location history, her credit card statements, offered to call the girls she'd been with. But I was too caught up in Trevor's story, too convinced that where there's smoke, there's fire. "I think you should go," I finally said. "Are you serious right now?" "Yeah, I need time to think." She stared at me for a long moment, tears forming in her eyes. "You know what? Fine. If you think I'd cheat on you based on something your buddy said with 0 proof, maybe we don't have what I thought we did." She grabbed her bag and left. Didn't slam the door or make a scene. Just left. I spent that weekend feeling like absolute garbage, convinced I'd been betrayed but also wondering if I'd made a mistake. Sunday evening, Trevor texted asking how I was doing. I told him we'd broken up. His response should have been my second red flag. "Probably for the best, man. You deserve better." She showed her true colors. Monday, I was still miserable at work when I got a text from Taylor. "Can we please talk?" I can prove I wasn't there. I agreed to meet her for coffee that Wednesday after work. Neutral ground, public place. She showed up with printouts. "These are my credit card statements from that weekend," she said, sliding papers across the table. "Here's the charge from the Vineyard on Colfax at 7:23 p.m. last Saturday. Here's my Instagram location history showing I was there. Here are screenshots of the group chat with the girls planning the meetup. Here's Jenny's Instagram story from that night where I'm clearly in the background. Every single thing proved she was where she said she was. Not at Eureka. Not with some random guy. At a restaurant with her coworkers exactly like she'd told me. Trevor lied to you," she said, her voice shaking. "I don't know why, but he completely made that up." I felt sick. Why would he do that? I don't know. But you believed him over me without even asking me for my side first. That's what hurts. You just assumed I was cheating. "I'm sorry. I should have. I need some time." She cut me off. "I need to figure out if I can be with someone who doesn't trust me enough to at least hear me out before ending things." She left, and I sat there feeling like the world's biggest idiot. I called Trevor immediately. "Dude, Taylor showed me proof she wasn't at Eureka that night." "What the hell?" There was a pause. "I mean, maybe I was wrong about which night it was. Maybe it was the weekend before?" "No, Trevor. She wasn't there at all. You made it up. Why?" "I'm trying to help you, man. Girls can fake that stuff. Credit card statements, Instagram posts. Stop. Just stop. You lied to me. I want to know why." He got defensive. "You know what? Maybe I did get some details wrong, but I was trying to look out for you. Taylor's not who you think she is. You'll see eventually." "We're done," I said. "Don't call me again." I blocked him on everything and spent the next week trying to process what happened. I'd lost a girlfriend over lies my friend told me. The question was why. Thursday of that week, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Taylor. Using my work phone. Can you call me when you get a chance? It's important." I called immediately. "What's up?" "Trevor just asked me out." My brain short-circuited. "What?" "He showed up at my work today. Asked if I wanted to grab dinner this weekend. Said he'd heard we broke up and wanted to check on me, but then asked me on a date." Everything clicked into place. Trevor had lied to break us up because he wanted Taylor. The son of a bitch had sabotaged my relationship because he was after my girlfriend. "What did you tell him?" "I told him I wasn't interested and to leave me alone. Then I blocked his number, but I thought you should know what kind of person he is. I'm so sorry, Taylor. I should have believed you. I should have trusted you over him." There was a long pause. "Yeah, you should have. Look, I appreciate the apology, but I don't think I can do this. You threw away 6 months over something your friend said without even talking to me first. What happens next time someone says something about me? Are you going to believe them too? It won't happen again. I know that now. I'm not willing to take that chance. I think we should just move on. And that was it. She hung up. I tried texting her over the next few days, but she didn't respond. I deserved that. I threw myself into work, started hitting the gym harder, picked up some online courses for certifications, did the whole self-improvement thing people do after breakups, made peace with the fact that I'd screwed up and lost a good thing. About 2 weeks after my last conversation with Taylor, I got an Instagram DM from one of her friends, Megan, who'd been at that game night back in April. Hey, know this is random, but thought you should know Trevor has been texting Taylor constantly since you guys broke up. Like obsessively. She finally had to threaten him with a restraining order to get him to stop. Seriously? Yeah. He'd text her like 30 times a day. Started with checking on her, then turned into love confession shit. Said he'd always had feelings for her. That he'd be better for her than you were. That they were meant to be together. Real stalker vibes. That's insane. It gets weirder. He told her he'd been planning to free her from your relationship for months. That's a direct quote. Dude basically admitted he set you up. My hands were shaking as I typed back. Did she report him? She kept all the texts as evidence and told him if he contacts her again, she's going to the cops. He finally backed off last week. Just thought you should know who you were friends with. I thanked Megan and sat there processing everything. Trevor had systematically destroyed my relationship because he wanted Taylor for himself, then harassed her when she rejected him. I'd lost someone great because I'd trusted the wrong person. Life moved on. Summer turned to fall. Fall turned to winter. I focused on work, got my PMP certification, got promoted to senior analyst with a decent raise. Started dating again casually, but nothing serious. Honestly, I was in no rush after the Taylor situation showed me how badly I could misjudge both people and situations. December rolled around, and I'd accepted that the Taylor chapter of my life was closed. I'd learned from my mistakes and moved on. Then last month, everything came full circle in the most spectacular way possible. I was at my buddy Derek's place for Monday Night Football. Just a casual hangout with a few guys from college, nothing fancy. Wings, the game on. Typical Monday night. I was checking my phone during halftime when Derek came over with this weird look on his face. Dude, you're not gonna believe who just posted something absolutely wild on Instagram, he said, handing me his phone. It was a post from Taylor's friend Brittany, another dental hygienist. The post was a photo of Taylor surrounded by their friend group, all smiling together, with a caption that made my jaw drop. Girls' night celebrating. Taylor finally seeing Trevor's true colors. Turns out the guy who tried to save her from her cheating ex was actually cheating on her with multiple women. The irony is delicious. So proud of my girl for standing up for herself and kicking his manipulative ass to the curb. You deserve so much better, babe. I had to read it 3 times to make sure I understood correctly. Wait, I said slowly. Taylor was dating Trevor? Derek nodded. Apparently for like the past few months. But that's not even the craziest part. Keep scrolling through the comments. The comments section was a goldmine. Friends of Taylor were commenting with stuff like, can't believe he was pulling the same crap on her, and karma is real, and manipulation tactics 101. But one comment from someone named Sophie made everything clear. Remember when Trevor said he saw you cheating just to break you guys up, then convinced you his version was real? Same playbook, different target, classic narcissist behavior. Taylor had actually ended up with Trevor after we broke up, and he'd cheated on her. Holy shit, I muttered. There's more, Derek said, taking his phone back and pulling up Facebook. Trevor posted his own sad boy post about misunderstandings and people jumping to conclusions. Trevor's post was exactly what you'd expect from a manipulative tool trying to control the narrative. Lots of vague language about complicated situations, and mistakes were made, and hoping to grow from this. Pure damage control. But his comments section was getting destroyed. Multiple women had commented saying he'd been messaging them on dating apps, while apparently in a relationship with Taylor. One girl posted screenshots of their Hinge conversation from last week. Another said he'd matched with her on Bumble and asked her out 2 weeks ago. The guy had been juggling Taylor plus at least 3 other women on various dating apps, while acting like a devoted boyfriend to Taylor's face. This is the same dude who broke you two up by lying about her cheating, Derek said, shaking his head. Then he gets with her and actually does what he accused her of doing. You can't make this up. I spent the rest of the evening going down the rabbit hole. Turns out after I'd blocked Trevor, he'd continued trying to get close to Taylor. According to comments from her friends, he'd shown up at her work multiple times with coffee, sent flowers, basically love-bombed her for weeks. Eventually, around September, she'd agreed to go on one date with him. He'd apparently been very apologetic about the misunderstanding that broke us up. Said he'd gotten dates confused, but that I'd overreacted anyway. Positioned himself as the good guy who'd been trying to protect her from my controlling behavior. Classic manipulation, rewriting history to make himself the hero. They'd been together for about 3 months when Taylor found his phone unlocked and saw messages from multiple women. Not just casual conversations, but actively trying to meet up with them, sending flirty messages, making plans for dates. When she confronted him, he'd tried the same playbook, denied everything, said the women were just friends, accused her of being paranoid and controlling just like her crazy ex. Me, apparently. But Taylor had screenshots, and unlike me 8 months ago, she didn't just take his word for it. The entire story played out across social media because Trevor had made the mistake of trying to control the narrative publicly, and Taylor's friends weren't having it. They posted receipts, screenshots, timelines. It was a beautiful disaster to watch unfold. I was still scrolling through the wreckage when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Taylor. I'm so sorry." My first thought was that someone was messing with me, but a second text came through with a selfie of her holding a piece of paper with my name on it, timestamp and everything. Using a new number. Changed carriers. Can we talk? I stared at my phone for a solid 5 minutes trying to figure out what to say. Part of me wanted to ignore it, let her figure out her own mess. But another part of me was curious about what she wanted. "About what?" I finally texted back. The reply came fast. "About everything. About how wrong I was. About Trevor. About us. I know I don't deserve any of your time, but I need to apologize in person. Please. I'm at a friend's place. Can't talk now. Can I call you tomorrow? Anytime that works for you. I owe you a massive apology and an explanation." I told her I'd think about it and put my phone away, but I was distracted the rest of the evening. Derek noticed. "You gonna talk to her?" he asked during a commercial break. "I don't know, man. Part of me wants to hear what she has to say, but another part thinks I should just let it go." "For what it's worth," Derek said, "she was manipulated by the same guy who manipulated you. Trevor's a professional level liar. Dude had both of you convinced of his bullshit." "Yeah, but she still chose to believe him and get with him after we broke up. That's on her." "Fair point, but at least hear her out. You don't have to forgive her or get back together, but getting closure might be worth it." The next evening, I agreed to meet Taylor for coffee at a neutral spot. The same Starbucks where she'd brought me all that proof 8 months ago. Felt poetic in a twisted way. She showed up looking tired. Not the exhausted from work tired I remembered, but emotionally drained tired. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing yoga pants and an oversized hoodie. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sitting down across from me with a Grandy Pike Place. "I know I don't deserve your time." "So talk." She took a deep breath. "I owe you the biggest apology of my life. You were right about Trevor. About everything. And I was so wrong. I know. Saw the posts. It's worse than what's online. The stuff with the dating apps? That's just what I caught. Turns out he'd been seeing other people pretty much our entire relationship. His roommate finally told me everything after I kicked Trevor out. He was bringing different women back to his apartment when I wasn't around. I didn't say anything, just let her talk. After we broke up, Trevor kept pursuing me, showing up at work, sending flowers, these long texts about how he'd messed up telling you about seeing me at that restaurant, but that he'd only done it because he was so worried about you. He repositioned the entire thing as him being a concerned friend who'd gotten confused about dates, and you believed him. I did. I was hurt and angry about how you didn't trust me, and he was there saying all the right things. He spent weeks building up this narrative that you were controlling and paranoid, that I'd dodged a bullet, that he was different, better. She pulled out her phone and showed me texts from Trevor from months back. They were exactly what you'd expect from a professional manipulator. Sympathetic messages about how I'd treated her, slowly positioning himself as the better option, making himself seem like the good guy who'd been patiently waiting in the wings. By September, I was lonely enough and convinced enough that I agreed to go out with him. One date turned into 2, and before I knew it, we were together. He was attentive, romantic. Everything seemed perfect, until it wasn't. Until I found his phone unlocked last month and saw messages from 4 different women. 4. All of them thinking they were exclusive with him. All of them getting the same lines he'd used on me. What did he say when you confronted him? First, he denied everything. Then he said they were just friends, and I was being paranoid. Used those exact words. When I showed him the screenshots I'd taken, he tried to flip it on me. Said I was invading his privacy, that I was just like you with my trust issues, that maybe we weren't right for each other after all. Classic narcissist playbook. That's exactly what my therapist said. I've been seeing someone to work through all this. Turns out Trevor showed every sign of being a pathological liar and manipulator, and I fell for all of it because I was vulnerable, and he knew exactly what to say. I wanted to feel vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. Why are you telling me all this? Because I need you to know that I'm sorry. Not sorry that it didn't work out with Trevor. Screw that guy. Sorry that I didn't believe you when you tried to warn me. Sorry that I let him manipulate me into thinking you were the problem. Sorry that I didn't see what he was doing until it was too late. She was crying now, not dramatically, just quiet tears running down her face. You tried to tell me he'd lied, and I didn't listen. I was so convinced that you'd wronged me that I couldn't see he was playing both of us. I wasn't trying to warn you. I didn't know he was after you until you told me he'd asked you out. I know, but you knew something was off about his story. You came back and apologized and said we should work through it, and I shut you down because I was hurt. Then I turned around and fell for the exact same manipulation he used on you. We sat in silence for a minute. She wiped her eyes with a napkin. I'm not asking you to take me back, she continued. I know I screwed up way too badly for that, but I needed you to know that everything you said about Trevor was right. He systematically destroyed our relationship because he wanted me, and when he got me, he treated me exactly how he knew he would eventually treat you if you'd stayed friends with him. His roommate told you this? Yeah. After I kicked Trevor out and started posting about what he'd done, his roommate Danny messaged me, said Trevor had been bragging for months about stealing me from you, that he'd made the whole restaurant story up and was proud of how well it worked, that seeing us together pissed him off because he thought he was better looking, made more money, was more fun. My jaw clenched. Did Danny know about all this when it was happening? He said he tried to hint to me that Trevor wasn't who I thought he was, but I didn't pick up on it. Looking back, he made a few comments at Trevor's place that I brushed off. Where's Trevor now? I don't know, and I don't care. Last I heard, he was trying to repair his image on social media, deleting comments, blocking people. His dating profiles are gone. I think the public roasting got to him. Good, I thought. Let him drown in the mess he created. Taylor finished her coffee and stood up. I should go. I just needed to tell you all this in person. You deserved better from me. And I'm sorry it took this disaster for me to realize how badly I misjudged everything. Taylor, wait! She paused halfway to the door. For what it's worth, I'm sorry too. I should have trusted you over Trevor from the start. I should have at least asked for your side before ending things. We both got played by a professional liar, but I still made the choice not to believe you. Thanks for saying that, and for meeting me today. Take care of yourself, okay? She left, and I sat there finishing my coffee, processing everything. The entire situation was a mess from start to finish, and while part of me felt bad for how things turned out for Taylor, another part of me recognized that we both made choices that got us here. She chose to believe Trevor and date him after. I chose to trust Trevor over her without evidence. We both paid the price for trusting the wrong person. The next few days, I got messages from mutual acquaintances asking if Taylor and I were getting back together. Apparently, she'd told some of her friends that she'd apologized to me, and the rumor mill started churning. People love drama, especially when it involves someone getting their karma. My answer to everyone was the same. No, we're not getting back together. We're both moving on. Some people thought I was being cold, that I should give her another chance since she'd been manipulated. A few of her friends tried the whole, "she really cares about you" routine. One girl sent me this long message about how Taylor had made a mistake, but learned from it, how she was going to therapy and working on herself, how sometimes people deserve second chances when they show genuine growth. Look, I get it. Trevor was a world-class manipulator who played both of us. But here's the thing. Trevor didn't put a gun to her head and make her date him. She made that choice. She chose to believe his version of events over mine. She chose to see his flowers and coffee runs as romantic instead of the love bombing they actually were. She chose to write me off as controlling and paranoid when I tried to defend myself. Just like I'd chosen to believe Trevor's lies about her cheating. We both made bad choices. We both trusted the wrong person and paid the price. The fact that Trevor was a manipulative scumbag doesn't absolve either of us from the choices we made. We weren't victims of some elaborate con. We were two people who ignored red flags because we wanted to believe better of someone who didn't deserve it. Last week, Taylor's friend Megan texted me, "Hey, Taylor wanted me to ask if you'd be willing to talk again." She's not asking to get back together, just wants to apologize again, and maybe see if you two could eventually be friends. My response was quick. I appreciate the apology she already gave, and I hope she finds what she's looking for. But I'm not interested in staying in touch. Wish her the best. Megan replied, "Totally understand. She figured that would be your answer, but wanted to try. Take care." As for Trevor, last I heard from Derek, dude's basically become a social pariah in our social circle. Blocked by half the people we used to know mutually, his dating app adventures aren't working out because women in our city talk to each other, and his reputation is absolute toast. Word got around fast once Taylor's friends started sharing what really happened. He tried reaching out to Derek and a few other people trying to get back into our friend group, doing the whole "I've changed" routine. Everyone shut him down. When you burn enough bridges, eventually you're standing on an island by yourself. Taylor, I genuinely hope she figures things out. She seems to be going to therapy and working through the manipulation she went through. But that's her journey, not mine. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.